Hi everyone, welcome to Zero to Somewhere. It's January 2024, and this is the first vlog of the year. So I thought I would do a quick recap of what I've done so far, and also have a mention a rough outline for the coming year. So now it's been 1 year and 3 months since I started on the journey, and so far, all of the things that I've tried, all the things that I worked on in the last year didn't really generate any revenue, which sucks. But I definitely tried a lot of things in the last year, I think. And I learned a lot through all of them. So I believe now that this is how it was supposed to be, because now I see that my mentality was somewhere else entirely when I started, and now I'm in a better place. I better understand what I need to do to make this happen. That I need to, for one thing, to stop being a developer and focus entirely on business, on product development, stuff of this nature. So I think by doing all of these things, I came to a position where I'm now in a better headspace to, I don't know, get things done. Well, time will say. The rest of this year will say. So, for a quick recap of what I've done so far, originally I had a very simple idea, which is, I will build an app and sell it, right? But then I quit, and then I realized that building the app will take some time, and then also marketing it will take some time. So I'm almost like, okay, I should find something to keep myself afloat while I do that. So the ideas that I have was to try this online mentoring. That didn't work because I had no reputation online, and the platform I was using was just crowded. So it was really, I think the people who are coming there are looking for mentoring. They had so many other options that me with zero reputation had no chance of standing out. So this is, I think, a common struggle for anyone who is starting out freelancing, especially on online platforms, which is you have to like stand out from the crowd, and that takes some effort and some time to get through, get some reviews on the platform. um, and I wasn't willing to do that, I guess. So I moved on to trying something different, which is the blog. I bought the domain, I set it up from scratch, and I wrote a few posts. Some of those posts did really well, but at the time, the posts themselves, the other posts that I didn't wasn't getting any traffic whatsoever. So I also kind of lost hope because I thought that this was not going to work. So I switched to back to the original idea of building out the app. I actually have been working on the app for a while already, so I decided I'll push it through and release it. And I did, only to realize that pushing through and releasing it may not have been the best decision. I mean, it's good for my soul in a way that I finished what I started, but not the best use of time, because I stopped working on it because I knew that it was hard to promote it, and that didn't change even when I finished it. So maybe that was not the best thing to have done. And yes, the final thing is, yeah, quite by accident, I found some freelancing work where I can work part time for a company, and as a front end developer, and that I think is was a great thing. Despite me not looking for it, I think that is definitely the best way to keep myself afloat, because there is no hustle to get income. It's more about putting aside some time to work and then going and doing that work and getting money on the other end without having to worry about where the work is coming from or anything like this. So that I think was really good. And I'm grateful that it happened even by accident, because I don't think I think I would have probably flailed around, tried a lot of other stuff before I got to the point where I would say, okay, I'm gonna try and find some client to work for. So in a way, maybe finding this so early and them being so willing to let me work part time for them was a great thing. So overall, yeah, a lot of stuff so far, and I think maybe just to mention some of the things that I think went well, or some of the wins so far, because I think it's a good thing to celebrate these wins. Most of the time, when you are in the midst of things, you tend to forget the things that went well. So I think the notable wins that come to my mind so far, the first one is definitely the post on the front end libraries that I wrote that went unexpectedly sort of mini viral in a way, because it got picked up by several newsletters. Some people translated it into different languages, and it brought like the biggest traffic surge I've seen in my life, which is about 4,000 visitors to that page. For me, coming from a blog, from a personal blog that was doing at best 60 visitors a day, and not, this was amazing. And this I'm very grateful to for, because that gave me the faith to keep trying with the blog, because it showed me that okay, this was probably a one-off, but there can be more chance for these kind of one-offs to happen again. So that gave me the faith to really continue with the blogging. The other win is, I think, finishing before lunch, as it ended up being called. It was originally called, I think, the code base. In the code base, everything is still called Daily Planner, because that was the most generic, most basic name I could come up with it. So everything's called Daily Planner. And then there was this time it was called BitGet, which is, what was it? Block it and get it. And then finally it ended up being called Before Lunch, and that's what was shown to the world. So I'm very happy that I was able to finish it. Um, but like I mentioned before, I think finishing it was maybe a mistake, because I knew at some point that this was gonna be really tough to sell, and finishing it and publishing it, putting it online, didn't really change this fact. So yeah, I mean, it's still something that I use every day. And judging by the logs, someone else, one other person is using it. And I'm super grateful to you, whoever you are. If it's one of you, do reach out to me. Let me know what you think about it. Because this project will remain online, and I will continue working on it at some point. But the way I think about it now, it can work, because already I've had several people try it out and try quite hard to get used to it, actually, which means that, honestly, one thing that I see doing this online stuff is that, online everything is so fickle. People come to your page, they run away immediately. So to have someone come to your page repeatedly, and then repeatedly over several days, that's amazing. That means that they are really trying, and that they really want it to work. But yeah, they try. From the logs, I see that some people tried to use it for several days and then just gave up in the end. And I understand it's very rough around the edges. It still doesn't work on mobile. Many other things that need to be improved, but it at its core, I think I can see that at least some people, there's a need for this. There is some people who are would like to use it if it works, and it was a bit friendlier to use. So there is some future for it, but I guess this is not the direction I should be going in right now, since right now my goal, as it is the same as it has ever been since I started this journey, which is to generate some revenue. And trying to work on this app, I don't think I can generate any revenue anytime soon. Will probably have to sink about another few months worth of work to get it to the point where it's polished and people are liking to use it, and then I can consider charging. But this is not the time I want to spend right now. So the app will stay online, but I will not work on it, I think. If there is any critical, I can still use it on a day-to-day basis. So if there's any critical bugs, I'll fix those because I need it. But apart from that, it will just stay as it is for now. And I guess the final win is hitting 2,000 visitors a month on the blog. This is really difficult for me to think about how this is possible, because over the last, I guess, 4 or so months, I haven't been working on the blog at all. So it was all of this was from the work I put in about 4 or 5 months ago, which at the time showed nothing. Like the posts were up, no one was coming to it. It was basically zero. But now slowly it first rose to about like 2 or 3 people a day to like 30, and now sometimes it even hits 100 a day, just on the few posts that I wrote 6 months ago, which is amazing. Which shows that what all these people, all these people who do blogs, what they were talking about, the things I was watching online, that it was true, which is when it comes to showing up on search engines, it takes time, around as they say about 4 or 5 months. So it is frustrating because the feedback loop is super long. So you write something, you have no idea whether this would work or not. You just have to let it sit for a few months and then you'll find out. So the you can't really work so fast in a way. But I am super grateful that I got to this point where it's 2,000 visitors, and from the trends, it seems like it's growing. And this brings me to what I want to do for this year. And the first thing I thought of doing is to have a singular focus, because so far I tried a lot of things because I'm just interested in a lot of things. I'm curious about a lot of things, so I just experimented with a lot of things, but I never really stuck with it for too long. I think the longest thing I stuck with was the blog, which I did for about 3 or 2 months back then. So and already I see that that time I put in has its results. Compared to everything else I've done so far, that has the most results. So because of that, I decided to make 2024 the year of writing. What I mean by this is to focus entirely on the blog and to focus on the products, or like a small guide or ebook which I will sell through the blog, which is the plan on how to make money from the blog. So the targets I have for now is to hit 100 blog posts. Right now I have 17, so that is around 60, 63 or more maths. Well, around 60, 70 posts left to write, which given that I have an entire year should be doable. But on top of that, I want to finish writing the small guide or ebook and start selling it through the blog. Or originally, I was mentioning before on my blogs that I wanted to write a ebook around deploying front ends. So I realize now the original idea I had for that book was probably not right, but I do have a tangential idea, something similar in that space, about writing, let's say, a put it online guide, which is a guide that tells you about everything you need to know about putting a front end online. Because I think there is no single source for this. Usually people try to deploy something and then they just struggle for days, hours, to figure out how to do it. Because there's a lot of things that is involved in putting something online. There's, you have to figure out how to get it in the right format to build the project. Then you need to figure out how to upload it. Then you need to figure out like secure, like HTTPS and SSL. Then sometimes you need to set up CORS or cross-origin resource sharing. So all of these things, I think people really struggle with, but there is no like continuous guide for all of it. It's just all these topics scattered about. So my hope is that a guide that covers the entire thing could be useful, and that it's something that people would consider paying for. So that's what I want to work on. I'm thinking of making it a guide rather than a static ebook, because I feel like people don't really want to sit and read a book when they're going to deploy something. They just want to get it done fast. So I think having a reference guide, or like a way that they can just click here and there, jump to the places that they really need, would be better than just a static ebook. I don't know. This depends to be seen, but that's something I want to do. Maybe this might change as I discover that that my assumptions are false, or if I come up with a better idea. But the overall, I want to finish at least one of these things and actually start selling it and set up all the infrastructure for selling it, all of these things, so that at the end of this year, I want to have something that someone can go and buy online, let's say. And hopefully that something makes money, but I guess the base of it is just having something online that someone can buy. And then the final thing is to take the newsletter seriously. So a part of the blog is the newsletter, the monthly newsletter that I was writing at the end of each month. And so far, if I'm honest, I wasn't taking it so seriously. I just, at the end of each month, I took one day, wrote a post about something, and then just put it out. Um, and I realized that's wasted. That was a wasted opportunity because um, what the newsletter can do is it can keep bringing people back to the site, and it can also be a way to just write about really interesting stuff. So this year I want to change the focus of the newsletter to writing about. So far in the newsletter I wrote about just the new things, so it was actually like a newsletter, like this new things here, this new things there. That's what I was writing about, but I'm going to pivot to writing about my experience, writing about the lessons I've learned and my experience with various front end stuff. And I think this is something that is missing from the web, because most of the things you find online, they're just shallow introductory things, which you see that the author, they maybe played around with it for an hour or 2 or 3, and then they write some quick guide about it. There really isn't much written about, let's say, long-term experience, like say how React has changed over 7 years or 8 years. So this is the kind of stuff that I want to focus on. Just writing about my long-term experience with various things. I mean, given that it's my experience, I will probably run out of things to write about. I don't know, but I think this is a problem I will tackle when I come to it. Maybe I can get to a point where I can just ask other prominent people in the space to contribute, maybe do some kind of like interview or something like this with them, and then write about it in the newsletter. This is stuff for the future, but for now I have several ideas on things I want to write about my experience. So that's what I'm going to do with the newsletter. It will probably take me longer than a day to write these things, because usually this kind of experience, like real deep dives, take a bit of time. So I'm willing to sink about a week or so for like each of these posts. So and yeah, but in the end, what I'm hoping is that these newsletter posts will be interesting in their own, that I can just share it wherever to bring even more people to the site. So this is the year of writing. It will be, I know, really hard for me to keep it that way, because I get bored easily, and I wanna just run away and do something else. So it'll be really hard, I think, to stay on track and to keep it the year of writing. But I'm gonna try my best, and I will let you know how that goes. Already the interval of this vlog has become super random, and I think moving forward it will stay the same, because it's a +1. It's something I'm doing just to keep track of the progress. So I personally feel like it doesn't add a lot of value, but I still want to keep doing it. So I guess it will not be every month, because now, especially when I start writing, it's gonna be super boring. Apart from saying, yeah, I wrote this post, and I wrote some more posts. So, but I think it will still be good to come back and talk to you guys a bit about, what I managed to do, and whether I actually managed to stay on course this year. So we'll see. All right, so that's about it for today, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.